So this is going to be an analysis of Jonathan McElroy's police report, which was written on January 2nd, 2020. We have a color-coded key here that corresponds to yellow being false statements, pink being internal contradictions, blue being bizarre omissions, and green being factual errors and lies. Right up top, you can notice that this box right here, event contains bias elements, is not checked. We have that marked as a bizarre omission and a factual error, and you'll see why as we proceed through this narrative. I'm going to go ahead and skip these first two here because it's more or less factual information about the call that he's responding to. So McElroy writes, I arrived on scene and observed a female standing on the property. I informed her that she was being recorded, and she advised that she was recording me as well. I informed her why I was there. I told her that as long as she was on the sidewalk, it was okay, but that she could not be inside of the business. She responded, but it's a public business, right? I informed her that it was, but if she was not there to conduct business, then she could not remain there. She told me that she was there to conduct business, and that the cops were called on her. So we have this here marked as a factual error. McElroy did actually say this sentence, that she could not be inside the business, and she could only be on the sidewalk. He did actually say that, but he's of course incorrect. And then we have this marked as an internal contradiction, and we'll see why. Next paragraph. I informed her that she could not be on the property. She pointed her camera at the business and responded, the City of Seattle property? After speaking with her further, it appeared that she was under the impression that because the city property was considered a public building, that she had the right to remain on the property. I informed her that if she was not there to conduct business, that she did not have the right to remain on the property without permission. So Record America's already told him that she was there to conduct business, and he just totally disregarded that, as you see right here. I went inside and spoke with the security guard, Karis White. I also spoke with the employees behind the desk. One of them was identified as Andy Trang. They advised that the female was not there to conduct business and that she never approached the counter for business-related issues. So that's just a flat-out false statement, and we can see that from the video.
Hey sir, could you help me please? Hi. So I have a bill with the electric bill, and my name is wrong there. I tried to fix before, but it's still coming wrong. Is there a way that I can fix?
Yeah, so...
Okay, so continuing. The female was inside of the business recording surveillance cameras and meters. Now, I'm not sure if Record America was actually recording the surveillance cameras, although I did see her record the meters. I don't think she intentionally focused on any surveillance cameras. I went ahead and left that unmarked and gave the employees and McElroy the benefit of the doubt there. When White told the female to leave, the female refused. That's the truth. Then, another City Light employee became confrontational with Karis. So notice here we have this sentence marked in blue as a bizarre omission. Another City Light employee did become confrontational with security guard White, but it doesn't say why or what the nature of the confrontation was. So let's go ahead and show you what was left out.
I believe you are trespassing on private property.
But why?
This isn't private property.
Thank you. No, it's not. It's the City of Seattle.
Don't lie to her.
I am not lying.
This is a private city property.
This is private property. She's not allowed to video.
It's a
record on
property of
private
the city, and the city is owned by the public. We, the people.
No, it's private property. Okay, I am asking you nicely. Okay, I have made you aware nicely. I am asking you to leave.
So if I don't leave, what's
You are
gonna
not
happen?
allowed. Sir, I need you to go to your job, please.
You don't get to tell me what to do.
Yeah, that he's right.
I am asking you nicely.
Once she addressed the employee issue, she focused back on the female. She told Karis that if she wanted her to leave, she would have to call the cops. That is when we were called. So we have this marked in yellow as a false statement, and here's why. I'll show you the video. I want you to just pay attention and note that this says that Record America told the security guard that the only way she was going to leave is if the lady called the cops. We'll see if that's true.
You are recording, taking images of this property that is not allowed on our property.
And if I don't leave, what's gonna happen?
I will call the police.
Okay.
And I will have them come and remove you from our property.
Okay, can call the police. It's okay.
Okay, I will do so.
Okay, so continuing. We have the reporting party listed as Karis White, born 1999. The next page we have the offense code listed as criminal trespassing, citing Seattle Municipal Code, which corresponds to the state law. We have this marked in green, which indicates that it's a false statement or a lie, which of course it is. Here we have a restatement of what we saw on the first page. Does this event contain bias elements? McElroy wrote that it doesn't. Of course, that's a false statement, a bizarre omission, and a factual error. Down here we have the victim. And here McElroy wrote that the victim is Seattle City Light and the government. Of course, this is an internal contradiction, a false statement, and a factual error. Down here is the end of the police report. I've actually added this section here myself. We already went over some of this, but I'll just read it real quick. List of bizarre omissions. Number 1, Karis White called police to remove the female suspect because, she just has a camera.
No, I cannot see any weapons. She just has a camera as well as a GoPro on her. She's wearing a pink scarf.
Now, you'll notice that this is nowhere in McElroy's report. This is the sole reason that the security guard wanted her removed from the building. She just has a camera. That is conspicuously absent from McElroy's report. Number 2, the Seattle City Light employee that became confrontational with security guard White was upset that White was lying to the female suspect about public property being private. The Seattle City Light worker was also upset that security guard White told him to, quote, "Go do your job, please," to which he responded, "You don't get to tell me what to do, you're out of order," which is what we've already seen. So let's move on to the next day. So this report was generated by Jonathan McElroy on the very next day, January 3rd, 2020. In this case, there's 2 backup officers, David Sylvester and Terry Whalen. Yellow is false statements, pink is internal contradictions, blue is bizarre omissions, and green is factual errors and or lies. This report is significantly more complex than the previous day. Notice we have the same start here. Event contains bias elements. The box is unchecked, making it a bizarre omission and a factual error, and of course we will see as we proceed why. So we'll start at the very top of the narrative here. On Friday, January 3rd, 2020, at approximately 1300 hours, I received a message from the North Clerk advising that the security guard at Seattle City Light was requesting police. So we've marked this as an internal contradiction, and here's why. He says that he received a call or a message from the North Clerk, but on the second page here it says that the reporting party is the security guard, Karis White. So we've marked that as an internal contradiction, even though it's, a little bit unclear who is actually the reporting party. Here we have our first factual error. On January 2nd, 2020, I responded to a trespass where an unknown woman was refusing to leave and filming. The security guard, Karis White, advised that the woman was back with 2 additional people. I arrived on scene and went into the main lobby. I observed the female from the previous day, plus an additional 2 individuals in the lobby. They were all recording with their own devices. I made contact with Karis and spoke with her outside. The woman from the previous incident followed us outside and continued to record. There was also an elderly woman that was not associated with them in the lobby. So this is all true. Next paragraph. Due to the confrontational behavior that was possibly forthcoming from the individuals, I requested a supervisor to the scene. Sergeant Sylvester arrived on scene shortly after. So while this is, a rather odd phrasing, I didn't mark it up as anything. Next paragraph. After speaking to Seattle City Light staff, including Andy Trang, they advised what happened. We have that marked as a false statement because they didn't advise what actually happened. They advised what was in their imagination, as we'll clearly see as we proceed. One of the parties presented them with a piece of paper regarding a public disclosure. He asked if he could give the paper to the records request coordinator. Andy told them to go downtown and contact the customer service bureau. That's true. The male got closer to the glass and continued to film. Well, there's no way to do that. You have to walk all the way up to the glass just to go to the window, and the glass actually forms part of the window where you would put your paperwork through. So you have to almost reach under the glass to slide any paperwork through. There's no way to actually get closer to the glass once you're at the window. You're standing right next to the glass when you're standing right next to the window.
Now I set you up. The next bill date will be.
Hello, sir. How you doing? Here you go.
The law of the state of Washington requiring public access to allow all records and materials from state and.
Andy became uncomfortable. Notice it doesn't say why Andy became uncomfortable, just he was uncomfortable. So as we all know, that's a feeling. So continuing, Andy became uncomfortable. Due to the staff members feeling uncomfortable, Karis informed them to go back and get out of view of the parties, which they did. So here we have this S on members, marked as both a false statement and a factual error, as is this word, they. So this is interesting because Andy, who is one human being here, has now become multiple human beings. Members, them, they. But we're really just talking about one guy here. McElroy has magically transformed Andy into multiple staff members. Next paragraph. The staff member behind the counter conducted a Google search because he was not familiar with the form. He tried to assist the male by informing him of where to go to get the public records. But the male told him that he should be able to get the form from there. Now we have this marked as a false statement here because there was no form requested. In fact, the form was already complete. There was no attempt to get a public records form or anything like that. The records request was already complete and filled out, and the mail was simply turning the already completed request in to be processed. Next paragraph. All of the staff members wanted the parties removed because they did not feel comfortable and felt harassed. We'll notice that this is both a false statement and a factual error. McElroy himself was told by the security manager of the installation that the parties were free to stay and record.
If they have business here, we absolutely
Right, yeah,
let
exactly.
them be here, let them do their thing. If they want to sit down, film our stuff, and not bother us, that's fine.
Continuing, I went outside to speak with the parties, and they continued to be confrontational with me. They were speaking over me while I was trying to explain that they were on private property and no longer welcomed. One of the males continuously talked over me and called me a moron and informed me I needed better training. One of the parties was upset that I had his form. I informed all the parties that they were on private property and they needed to leave or would be subject to arrest. I provided them with multiple warnings. When I asked one of the parties information, he responded, "Is that a joke?" The parties eventually left the property. As the female was leaving, she informed me of how bad an officer I was. So we have these claims by McElroy marked here as internal contradictions and factual errors. He states twice, they were on private property, they were on private property. Yet if we go to the metadata on the second page, we see that the location category is marked as government, public building. In public or private, it's marked as public. In organization type, it's marked as government. And if we go back to the day before, when Record America was there, you'll notice that his report reads, "She responded, 'But it's a public business, right?' I informed her that it was, but if she was not there to conduct business, she could not remain there." So on the second, it's public property, and on the third, it's private property. And on the second page of the report from the third, it says that it's public property. So these are obvious internal contradictions that reveal his total incompetence. I'm not going to go further with that because it couldn't be more obvious. Moving on to the next paragraph. Unfortunately, the elderly female that was not associated with them was trying to carry out official business. However, she was unable to receive service because of the three individuals. Of course, that's a false statement and a bizarre omission. You can see that she's unable to receive service because she's refused service, because the camera people are refused service.
Okay. So I'm not able to get any service to pay my bill?
Are you okay waiting for a few minutes?
I've already waited a few minutes.
A few more minutes. I'm the security guard here. We're actually having an issue with a couple people, and so SPD is here.
The elderly female was upset with them and eventually left without being able to finish what she was there for. It's true that the elderly female was upset with the individuals recording in the lobby, but she was only upset with them after she was refused service, and she actually expressed her displeasure to the security guard, as we can see from the video.
If you want to wait and sit down, you can do that, or you could come back later.
Problems.
Yeah,
You're not
so-
helping problems, you're causing them.
Next paragraph. One of the males informed me that he wanted to file a false report against the staff. I told him to leave the property and wait for me on the sidewalk. Once the issue on the property was resolved, I walked to my patrol car but was unable to find him. This is interesting. It's marked as both a factual error and a false statement. And the reason why is McElroy writes that the man recording wanted to file a false report against the staff. Now, it's a little confusing, but in McElroy's tiny brain, he twists around wanting to report the false reports made by the staff to he wants to file a false report. Now, that's actually a crime. The way he phrased it here is actually a crime. Let's move on to the second page now. The second page contains mostly metadata. We have Karis White as the reporting party. We already went over this. Government, public, 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 government, right here. Here's the subjects: Black, African American, unknown, white. This woman right here was the one who claimed to be harassed, I believe, even though no one ever spoke to her.
Feeling harassed by them right now.
Moving on to the last page, this is a list of bizarre omissions from McElroy's report, things that are strangely absent. Number 1, the City of Seattle officials reportedly wanted citizens removed from the building, refused service, and denied public records because of their sex or gender, males, which reportedly made people feel even more uncomfortable.
And they want these people off our property. They don't want them to come back. They cannot do their jobs when these people are here. They don't feel safe. My goal is to keep my people feeling safe and comfortable. Again, you were here yesterday.
Right.
You heard somewhat happen, and then obviously she came back with 2 of her friends, males, bigger than her, which makes my people feel even more uncomfortable.
Number 2, Clerk Andy Trang and the male requesting public records came to an agreement that Mr. Trang would give the public records request to his supervisor to be processed right before security Karis in white ordered Trang away from the customer service window and into the back office. And that's just the fact of the matter.
I can accept it and bring it to my supervisor.
Perfect, that's all I want. If you could give me like a stamped copy.
The encounter was in fact over. The service had been agreed to and provided, absent a receipt for the public records request, and the security guard escalated from there. Number 3, as soon as police arrived, the man requesting public records immediately informed them that he only needed a receipt for his request or the paperwork returned, and he would be on his way.
You guys want to talk about why you're here?
You know, I gave a guy some paperwork, and I just want a receipt for the papers I gave, like a stamped date receipt.
Number 4, when police arrived, the subjects attempted to help the elderly female receive service, who eventually became very upset only after she was continually denied service by Seattle City Light staff and incited against the subjects by security guard White.
Are you going to keep your place there? Or?
No, I think you can go ahead, ma'am.
He was up there, but he's done. Go ahead.
Who are you guys?
We're just
Customers.
yeah.
Oh, you got your cameras
Oh,
out,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're
Recorder, yeah.
filming a video or something. In the interest of transparency and responsibility to all residents, taxpayers, and others, so this is mainly meant for you guys. Many public records are readily available and also...
Hey guys, this lady needs help here. Can someone please come out and help her?
Do what now?
She needs service.
She needs service.
She's paying a bill.
Pay my bill.
Somebody
guys
will
are
be out
stopping
in a couple
service.
minutes for you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 5, security guard Karison White laughed while reporting that, quote, all of my people back there don't feel safe.
All of my people back there don't feel safe.
Number 6, security guard White made contradictory statements to police, including that they refused to say why they're here.
I need a receipt
The guy took my property and he went back and I just need a receipt for it or my property. That's all.
They gave them some paperwork, some RCW. I don't know what it is. Says something about public information. No, they won't say why they're here.
Number 7. Officer Jonathan McElroy informed Andy Trang that the request written and submitted in accordance with Washington state law was, quote, bogus.
Let me see this real quick. I'll try to help you guys out because I was here yesterday.
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, public records. Entitled Public Record Model Rules of Washington. We talking about the PDR request. Go downtown to deal with that. After our conversation yesterday, she didn't have any business, so I guess they came up with a bogus reason to come in, so that was their reason.
Number 8. Officer J. McElroy took custody of the public records request from Seattle City Light and attempted to conceal that fact from the requester.
Let me go speak to my supervisor. So I'll be right back with you guys. I'm going to go ahead and take this too, okay? Is there any way other than going through the lobby so we don't have to, because I feel like if, I'm going to show this to my supervisor, and I feel like if they see me with this, it'll become more of an issue, so just to...
Number 9. Officer J. McElroy refused to return the public records request to the requester upon request, keeping it for approximately 30 minutes.
Please tell me you're not holding my property.
I am. Well, we're trying to understand the situation.
You can step back right now. Step back away from us.
Number 10. Seattle City Light manager Brendan Armstrong told Officer J. McElroy that the photographers were free to stay and record. Number 11. Security Coercion White reported that Seattle City Light workers behind thick glass and locked doors, quote, can't do their jobs because they felt so unsafe. Yet when the elderly woman standing right next to the supposed threat responded, unsafe? Should I go? Security guard White responded, no, you're okay.
People, my people that I'm protecting, not feeling safe, so they're not able to do their jobs right now.
Not feeling safe?
Yeah. Because
Should I go?
No, you're okay. If you want to wait, they're not gonna have a problem for you.
Okay.
Because
Should I go?
No, you're okay. If you want to wait, they're not gonna.
Number 12. The elderly female being refused service told security Coercion White, you're not helping problems, you're causing them.
And so in conclusion, we should just note that this is a rather cursory analysis of this incident. In fact, it would take hours and hours to sort out all the lies, crimes, distortions, manipulation, omissions, and policy violations committed by security, Seattle City Light, and the Seattle Police Department, all working together to do the exact wrong thing. And remember that this is just a tiny glimpse into what they do every day. Just imagine Jonathan McElroy and his buddies writing fallacious police reports at this very moment. Reports that can impact the future of every man and woman they encounter. That said, this video and its sources should serve as a warning to all people that you should never trust the government and you should always record all your interactions with them. Because we're not just talking about a highly insecure security guard and one bad police officer here. We're talking about totally incompetent public officials and agencies of every sort. Officials with no initiative that soak up tax money but have absolutely zero ethical integrity or responsibility to the people they supposedly serve. Officials that are at once stupid, lazy, and entitled. We're talking about bullies with badges and guns triggered by the principles they're sworn to defend. Men in costumes who don't know the law and don't care about it. Useless supervisors like Sylvester, who don't even know the basics of police work, supposedly good cops who stand idly by and watch peaceful, law-abiding people threatened and their constitutional rights violated. All of this done with no other purpose than to force people to abstain from conduct they have the fundamental natural, legal, moral, and ethical right to engage in. They are the enemies of the American people.
We, the people,
No.